Hello, it's Stephen here, back with another video. It's the day after City's weird performance that made them reach a Carabao Cup final, but also was incredibly frustrating. So I'm going to dissect that in a little more detail today and talk about 5 things that we learned from it. But before I do that, by the way, I want to tell you about something very special that I'm involved tomorrow night for Ball Street. Now, you may have seen this around Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I've been sharing some links. I'm dead excited to announce that I'll be part of Ball Street's YouTube channel for a very special show. They're basically covering Deadline Day live tomorrow, sponsored by Snickers. Yep, Snickers, which I'm quite excited by personally, very excited by. Basically, we'll be bringing all you the news, the rumours, and all the usual hilarity as the day unfolds. So make sure you head on over. It's going to be live from like 7:30. I'm heading down to London for it after work, and I can't wait to be involved. There'll be a link in the description below. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night for Ball Street from around 7:30 for lots of fun and lots of transfer goodness. Hopefully, City will be involved. Fingers crossed. But anyway, let's get back to Manchester City and last night, because that was a weird and wonderful, not wonderful, weird and weird. I'll settle for weird and weird game of football last night. I picked out 5 things that I want to talk about. Some kind of, well, all related to the game, but some inadvertently related to the game as well. I'm going to start initially with Guardiola. Basically, last night in the video, I'm going to watch that if you want, 15 minutes of me talking about the game immediately after. I thought I was on point in that video. I know I always obviously trust my own opinions on that because they're my opinions and you tend to trust yourself. But last night I thought I made a lot more sense than I usually do, if that makes any sense. I thought I just talked with a lot of clarity, unlike today, which is very waffly. But anyway, Pep last night, I don't think he got it right. Now, I want to counter this by saying, weirdly, I think the formation was kind of okay. Like, we did largely control the game. I would counter this by saying, would we not have controlled the game anyway if we just played our usual style? Did we really need to show that much kind of like respect to Manchester United? Bear in mind, this is possibly the worst Manchester United outside I've seen in absolutely ages. And this is possibly our best squad that we've ever had. And we were already winning 3-1. And they were without their best player, Marcus Rashford. I would argue that the reason we still controlled the game largely was because of our quality, not because of the system. I don't really think the system made any difference last night. I think it was just our quality that made the difference because we're still miles better than them. If anything, I actually thought the players sometimes looked a little bit uncomfortable and they played in spite of the formation setup as opposed to because of it. Like, I saw like some of the passing channels were a little bit confusing at times. I saw Rodri didn't really always know where to be, and that's not his fault. Cancelo definitely looked a little bit confused, and Walker's didn't really always know where to pass the ball. And as a result, I thought we were a little too slow in building from the back at times, and our natural rhythm was it was kind of hindered by a little bit of indecisiveness, and I think that really genuinely started to filter through to the players in front of goal. If you play a different thing and you start to second guess how you are going to play or where you need to be or something like that, you start to second guess things that come instinctively for you. And look at the results yesterday, like Silva trying to overpass it. I even saw like Bernardo and De Bruyne at times looking a bit hesitant on the ball. Sterling obviously very hesitant, but that's his form at the moment. But I genuinely think that was down to Guardiola. I love Pep. I love the brilliant ball bastard, but I think he really overcomplicated things last night, and it's something he can be very guilty of. Even little things like bringing our attacking players off and really bowing down to United made us nervous at the end. Like, that nerves that he had for the game transferred onto the players, and he needs to be a little bit more confident, a little bit more arrogant with our players because we're miles better than him, absolutely miles. So honestly, I thought Guardiola did the classic Guardiola last night of overthinking it. Yes, the system did kind of work because we did kind of control the game, but we lost. You know, we lost regardless of controlling the game. And I still think we probably would have been totally fine had we played our usual system. We just basically changed too much and showed too much respect to a team that's pretty poor, if I'm being honest, in the grand scheme of things. Onto that, and something else that's pretty poor is Sterling. Now, we've talked a lot about Sterling on this channel recently, and a lot of people have been saying, what are the root causes of this? And I don't think anything is ever as simple when a player drops in form as one or two things. Or I don't think it's really as simple as that. Some people have been saying recently, oh, well, Arteta's gone, so maybe that's the cause. But I'm sorry, but Sterling's been out of form for a lot longer than Arteta leaving. Genuinely an awful lot longer. It's nowhere near as simple as that. When did Arteta actually join Arsenal? Let's have a look at the date. It was around, 20th of December. He's been playing poorly for a lot longer than a month. I'm sorry. I remember people going, well, maybe the Joe Gomez incident caused his poor form, and that was back in like November. Was it November? It was something like that. Either way, people have been looking for an excuse for Sterling's form for some while now. I think he's just, for whatever reason, really out of form, and I think it must be a myriad or combination of factors that are really affecting his self-esteem and his performances on the pitch. And I don't think it's as simple as Arteta leaving. Maybe it's not as simple as the Gomez stuff, but I remember people questioning his form roundabout back then. It wasn't quite as vocal because he was still scoring goals, but his form and his touch was dropping off. And I don't think it really kind of developed into a problem, so we weren't quite as aware. But I went back a little bit and like, Atalanta, maybe his last good game or something like that, or Palace a while back. Either way, it's been some time since he last put in a good performance. His form has really been dropping off a cliff, and it's worrying. And I don't think this idea of playing him back into form is working. For me, he has to earn his way back into it now. He'd be on the bench for me until he has a good cameo off the bench and maybe sets up a goal or scores a goal or something like that. Until that moment, though, he's back on the bench. Gabriel Jesus, who's currently fit and raring to go, even someone like Foden, I would have them above him. Which gets me on to the next point. Phil Foden. I'm a bit worried about Phil Foden. I don't know. I thought last night was a prime game for him to start. He didn't even get his token 2-minute run out last night. If you can't really start when we're 3-1 up away against a team in banging poor form and we're willing to change and do this weird defensive kind of situation where Guardiola's making loads of bad changes. If you can trust the team enough to make all these crazy changes, but you can't trust enough to Foden to play. I never really believed in this Foden going out on loan thing, but the balance for me is starting to tip more towards Foden going out on loan because it's just bad. Like he's too good. And he's young, but he's not that young. He's not like the 17-year-old baby who was dead skinny and raw. Like he's also had some performances this season when he has got on the pitch where he's been like the best player for us. So I'm starting to really worry about Phil Foden. I'm not sure how long we can stretch his loyalty as a Manchester City fan for because next season is the litmus test, admittedly, but I would have thought by now he started to get more minutes because, I mean, what the fuck have we got to lose? Let's be honest, in the league, it's basically gone. We are going to get top 4 regardless. Why not use him now to start preparing for life after David Silva? Because we're going to need to find out if Foden's good enough to actually be relied on for 30 games next season if he is the apparent to David Silva. Yet we're still not even trying that. He has to have football to find this out, and I'm genuinely starting to get a little bit concerned about it. I don't know what the solution is, but I really thought he should have been involved last night substantially because I can't see when he's going to play after this. It's genuinely getting to the point where I'm worried. The Carabao Cup should have been his tournament. It should have been involved in every single cup game domestically at very, very least, and a lot more Premier League games. We need to start questioning it a bit because it's not getting any better. Next on to that is the centre-back woes. Now, strangely, I thought Otamendi was kind of okay for most of the game. But we showed in that last clip with Kevin De Bruyne where he was about to explode how much his rashness really does potentially ruin our chances. If he does that against Real Madrid in the last minute, someone's going to step up and put one in the top corner and it's going to cost us a win or the tie or something like that. And that's not good. That is not good. I mean, we really, really can see the difference when Laporte's not on the pitch, can't we? We had a little brief taste of him recently and hopefully he'll be back for the next game. And it showed what it's like to have someone who's composed and a leader. For me, Fernandinho, Laporte, even Eric Garcia, Fernandinho is obviously an old centre-back and he's new, but he's still lots more composed than Otamendi. Otamendi still can have a big battling game. I do like the guy in general, but he can be just so dumb. So dumb and so annoying at times. And that can really cost us. And I just don't trust him in a big game not to do some absolutely stupid thing. And that's what worries me. Otamendi, he's a good player. He's been a good servant. But it shows that our centre-back woes are real and we really need to, persist with Laporte when he gets back and Garcia and Fernandinho because at least they've got steady heads. Maybe Stones as well, but I don't know. I trust those three more than those two at the moment. And that's really damning indictment for them. Like a young centre-back and an old midfielder is getting ahead of them. Not good. Finally, Sane's needed. Now, this is obvious, really. I don't know how much he'll play when he gets back due to the nature of his injury, but the one thing that struck me out last night is that we're playing Sterling into the ground simply because we don't really feel we've got a viable alternative on the left. And Sane, Like, seriously, one thing we maybe could do, and one guy who won't really be victim to this overthinking mentality is probably Leroy Sané. He's a bit arrogant, Sané, and that's one of his strengths. He genuinely will just kind of shoot or take it himself or go for goal. And I don't really think we've got players who are currently doing that as much as they should do. Maybe Aguero, but even he was a little bit hesitant at times. But Sterling is in such bad form that I think we need a very obvious direct replacement. And I think Sané will really walk back into the team if he's anywhere near what he can be usually, because we're really crying out for him. City at the moment are lacking a little bit of arrogance, a little bit of conviction, and last night really showed that. I mean, I'm kind of divulging away from Sané here, but it can't be stressed enough. This is a really bad United team, and we showed them far too much respect. And we can't do that. And I think Guardiola was a little bit guilty of that as well. And I think the players were a bit guilty, and it really started to show the nerves. Whereas someone like Sané, I think he's got that arrogant streak that could be useful. Likewise, Laporte. These players that aren't in the team, they're bullish, they're leaders, and they don't really question themselves. And I think we're missing a bit of that arrogant attitude at the moment. And I want Sané back. I want Laporte back. Sané may still go, of course, but I think towards the end of the season, he could be very, very useful. Anyway, that is just some thoughts from myself. Go and watch the video I did last night, and also don't forget I will be doing that thing for Ball Street tomorrow where it's live from 7:30. It's the Deadline Day Live, sponsored by Snickers, which I'm very excited to be involved in, so there'll be a link in the description. Tune in tomorrow for Ball Street, and I'll see you then. For now though, go watch yesterday's video, subscribe, like, comment, all the usual stuff, support a fellow Blue by clicking the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.